everyone, welcome back to our fall Halloween series, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We're making cards. So I did ask in my Facebook group, Create with Martha Tucker, if anyone would be interested in learning how to make cards and even coloring, and a lot of you guys were interested. So I'm going to start doing a weekly series where we make a card, and this is the first installment of that. So in today's video, we're going to do some Copic coloring, and we're going to learn how to do some inking, simple masking. It's going to be really, really fun. So if you guys make cards or anything similar to these, please post them in the Create with Martha Tucker Facebook group. I will have it linked below. But let's get started with these. All right, guys, let's get started. And we're going to get started with our coloring, okay? So my goal for the card series is to really take you through every step of the card making process. So if there's a colored image on the card that we're doing, I'll be coloring it with you. Today we're going to use Copic markers as our medium, as our coloring medium, but other days we might use colored pencils or watercolor pencils, a lot of different mediums I'm hoping for, but today we're going to use Copic markers, and they're alcohol markers, okay? And then for our images, we're going to use these cute little witches, and they're from La Land Crafts, and the set is called Happy Boo to You, and they're super, super cute, and we're going to be using these two witches and this little pumpkin girl, but I'm just going to color one with you. So we're going to color this witch together with her broom. So what I'm going to do is I have my stamping platform here. Now you don't need a stamping platform. You can use just a stamp and a block, but for clear stamps, I prefer to use a stamping platform. The paper I'm going to use is the Express It, and this is the paper that's good for Copic markers, okay? I will link this paper below, and I'll try to link the Copic markers. It'll probably be just like a link to Copic markers, like not an individual link for each marker, but I will try to link it. So I'm going to put this into my stamp platform right here. I'm going to put it right in the corner, and then I'm going to take my little witch stamp and I'm going to put her up here in the corner as well. And then I'm going to press down and pick her up, and then I'm going to ink my stamp. Now for Copic coloring, I like to use the Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I will link this below for you as well. So I'm getting my ink right on her, just like this. Now my ink pad might need ink, so I might have to stamp more than once. So then this comes down and we press here, just like this. And the wonderful thing about having the stamp press is that you can stamp again now in the exact same spot and make sure you have a really nice black image. Just like this. So just make sure you get it inked really well. And then bring it down again and give it a good press. You have to press all over the image. All right, so our image is ready to go. So I'm going to put my stamp ink platform aside and close my ink up, and we will get to coloring. So I always like to start with my skin first. So for the skin, we're going to need E13, E11, E00, E000, and R20. And this is my go-to skin combination. It is the combination I always use. So if you're thinking of investing in Copic markers, that's a really good place to start. So I'm going to try to keep the cap visible while I'm coloring here. So it's going to be right there. And I'm just going to start by putting E13, which is my darkest color, on her face, wherever there would be shadows, okay? So I'm going to start kind of in her ear here. I'm going to go around her face, wherever there be shadows. So under her hair, on the side of her face, again in her ear there, and then I always like to do a little bump for the nose, just like this. And then under her chin, down the side of her neck, her little arm here. So under her sleeve and up the side of her hand. Then maybe just this side of this hand, and then under her hem here and here. So that's where I would lay down my dark color. And then E11 is my next darkest color. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go over my dark spots I just did. So I'm going to go over them and extend it a little bit. And don't worry if you get it in her eye. I'll show you what to do about that afterwards. So just go over the dark, over the E13, and extend it a little bit. Even more down the side of her face, over that cute little nose we did, on her neck and her hand. And same thing on this side. And her little legs here. Now these are tiny, tiny areas. So you just have to be a little bit extra careful to leave room for your highlights. So now we'll go with E00, and it's the same thing over the E11 we just put down, but extended a little bit. And this is just simple coloring, nothing too complicated here. There isn't much space left on her legs there. And then we'll finish it with the E00. So with the E000, I go over the entire area that I did and just blend it all out. Just like that. And then that gives that beautiful blended skin look. Just like this. And then for her little cheeks, I'm going to do some R20 to give her cheeks some blush. And I'm going to start almost up by her hairline here and just flick down and in, just to give her some really nice rosy cheeks. And then I like to just use my E000 just to blend that out a little bit. All right, so that is her hair, or sorry, that is her skin finished. So super, super simple. All right, now let's go to her hair. So I'm going to use some of the same colors, but I'm going to go with E18, E17, E15, and then I'm going to use E13 and E11. So the same colors, some of the same colors I used for her hair, or for her skin. All right, so we're going to start with E18, and we're going to do something called flicking. So I'm going to kind of start at the bottom of her hair here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick upwards. Now, to get the fine strands of her hair, you need to almost have your marker up and down. And so what happens is at the beginning, it's a little thicker, and as it goes out with your flick, it gets lighter and thinner. So you almost want to have your marker up and down when you flick, okay? So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to try to stay with the curve of her hair here as I flick. So I'm flicking upward, and I'm trying to stay with the curve of her hair. Just like this. And she's going to have like a reddish brown type of hair. And then we're going to go turn to the other side and do under her face here. Now, if you're scared that you're going to flick into her face at all, or go into her face, you can do yourself a tiny line of your marker around her face so that you're not kind of starting too far back. And then flick down. Just like this, okay? So that's what that one should look like. Now we'll go to E17. And we're gonna do the same thing, except we're gonna go in between and extend our flicks further up. So I'm going in between and I'm flicking further up. When you first start coloring with Copic markers, it won't be, it takes a lot of practice, but once you get it, you get it. So same thing here, in between, and extend it down, just like that. And then we'll go with the E13. And we'll do the same thing. So in between where our E17 was, but then go further up with it. And here, I won't turn it. I'm just going to flick downwards here. Just like that. And then we'll use the E11 and we'll just kind of go between those flicks right in the middle here and try to blend it a little bit. So that is one side of her hair completed. So we'll go to the other side. And again, we're going to start with E18. And I'm going to start at the bottom here and I'm going to flick upwards. Now her hand is kind of in the way on this side, so you have to do a little bit shorter flicks, but that's okay. And then we'll go on the other side of her hand here and flick up from there. And again, if you're worried about flicking into her dress at all, then you can make a line there to kind of protect yourself from that. I'm going to flick down under her arm and away from her face up here. Again, you can make yourself that little line. I almost always do because I'm always afraid I'm gonna flick into her face. So now E17 and in between and extend it is all we're doing here. It's not complicated. Now flick down and away from her face. Just like that. And then we'll go with the E13, and there isn't very much space left in here, so try to leave some space for your E11. Down here, you can probably just finish it with the E13 because it would be darker under her arm anyways. All right, and then our E11. Just like this. Just fill it in, finish it with that E11. Cute little red-headed witch. And then we'll go to the tops of her hair here. So we'll go with our E18. And I'm going to flick in from this side. And then down from this side where the little part of her hair is. And the same thing on the other side. And then my E17. Just like this. And then E13. So we're just kind of, make sure you leave a little bit of white in between for that E11 to go. just like that. And simply done. Her hair is finished. All right, now let's get to her hat and her broom. So for that, you're going to need E44, E43, E40, and E41. And I'm going to start with the E44. And I'm going to start down here on the broom. So I'm going to kind of make a little line where they separate there. And I'm going to flick down. And I'm going to flick up from that line. And then I'll flick up from this end here too, just like this. And then on her hat, I'm going to go under her ear here, around the side of her hat there, and I'm going to go up around her ear. So we're just creating a nice shadow because it's going to look dark there. And then we'll go around the top of her buckle here on her hats. And then we'll do kind of like a little, like it's a floppy hat, so we'll create a little pleat there. And then just up the side of her hat and down that kind of point there. And then we'll do her boots too. So just go around the one side of her boots and the other. And then her little apron will also be the E40 or 44. So go down the side, and then we'll do a little flick in to kind of make it look like a wrinkle there. Then we'll go to E43 and we'll flick down away from our E44. So we're not really worried about creating like strands here. It's more just blending because this is not hair. And then up to the top of her hat. We'll blend that out and blend out a E44 on this side. And then, so again, we're just going over what we've done and extending it. Just like that. And then on her little shoes, her witchy boots. And then we'll go with E41 and flick down and flick up on our broom. And then the same thing here. Just blend it out on both sides. And the hat. Just make sure to leave some room for your E40. And then on the little pleat here, you can kind of go in triangularly on both sides. And I'm going to finish the boots with the E41 because it's a pretty small area. And then I'll go with E40 and finish my broom. Just like that. And the apron. And then her cute little hat. Go around the side there. All right, just like this. And that is her apron and the broom and her boots and her hat. All right, now let's do her dress and maybe this band on her hat. So we're going to start with YG67 and then we'll go to YG25, YG03, and YG21. So I'm going to start with YG67 and I am going to go along the side of her sleeve here and down, and then I want to make a little kind of pleat mark as well. And down the side of this part of her sleeve and a little pleat. Then we'll go down the side of her dress, the upper part of it under her apron, because there'd be a little shadow there. Just like this. And then on the inside of the buckle up here and the outsides of the band around her hat, just like that. Then we'll go to YG25 and we'll flick out on this little pleat that we made. So again, we're just going over our YG67 and extending it. Just like this. So we're just going over where we've already put color down. So there's no guessing. On the side of her dress here. Then we'll go on her little band. Just where we went with the YG67 and extend it out a little bit. Then we will do YG03. And again, remember to leave some whites so we can use our highlight color. So I'm just going over the YG25, but I'm being careful to leave a little bit of whites for our highlight color. Just like that. And then for her hat, I'm just gonna finish it with the YG03. And then we'll grab our YG21, which is the highlight color. It's our lightest color. And I'm going to go over everything and blend it. Just like this. All right, super cute. And then for her broom handle, all right, then for her buckle on her hat and the broom, we're going to use N4, N2, and N0. I'm going to start with N4, and I'm going to kind of just do the corners up here of my buckle. And then under her arm and beside her skirt and at the top of the broom handle, I'm going to put some N4. Under her hem here, I'm going to put some as well. And then N2, I'm just going to blend it out. And for her hat, I'm not even going to fully cover it because I want it to look shiny because it's metal. And then N0. Just fill the rest in with N0. Okay, so now our Copic coloring is finished. Didn't take very long at all. Now I'm going to do a little bit of accenting with a white gel pen. So this is a Jelly Roll 0.8 pen. And I like to start mine on my hand to make sure it works because the warmth of your hand helps it to work. So I'm going to reinforce the little whites of her eyes. And then I always like to give them one extra twinkle, so I put one extra dot. And then I'm going to do some little white freckles on her cheeks, just like this. And then for her dress, I think I want to do some lines across. And you don't have to be any kind of an artist to do this. I've done it for years, and I'm certainly not. I just want to do some cute little accenting. And then maybe on her hat, I'll do some little white dots for highlights. I just really like doing the little white accents. I think it really brings it out. And then for the broom, you could even go between the strands like this and do some white. And then her boots could have white polka dots on them. So just really, really simple accenting, and it just does so much for the image. Right, now we can go ahead and fussy cut the image out. So I'm just gonna cut it out of the paper here, just like this. And I like to go around my image and leave just a little white border around it. So I'm kind of crazy and I like to use these big scissors, but a lot of people use small scissors. These are my Martha Stewart scissors and I love these for fussy cutting. So I'm going to start down here along my broom, and as you can see, I'm leaving just a little white border around the image, just like this. So I'm moving the paper and I'm not really moving the scissors. I mean, I do have to sometimes, but for the most part, I just move my paper. And I just turn as I need to. Just like this, and I'm just going around, leaving myself that little white border. Just like this. Just work your way around. And I mean, the border will probably, you know, not be exactly the same around the whole thing, but nobody is going to notice that. And I just want to round off her little broom on this side. And then that is our cute little fussy cut witch. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color this little witch and then the little pumpkin girl in the exact same way. Nothing's going to change. So now I'm going to go ahead and color this little witch and this little pumpkin girl, and then we'll make our cards. All right, so let's get started on our cards. So we are going to create some masks for our inking. So what I've got here is 2 pieces of cardstock. It doesn't matter the color for this, the type of paper it is. You could even use copy paper, except it might be too thin, so maybe stick with cardstock. And these measure 4 by 5 1/4. And what I'm going to do is I have my die cutting machine here. And what I'm going to do is for one of them, I'm going to place it in here like this. So this is my 5 1/4 is going up and my 4 is going to the side here. Then I'm going to grab a circle die, and this one measures about 2 3/4 in diameter. So I'm going to place it about right here on my cardstock. So I'm leaving a little bit hanging off because I want, this is going to be our moon, and I want it to kind of be coming in from the side. So I'm going to place it about right here, and then I'm going to get my other plate and I'm going to run it through. Sorry if it shakes you guys a little bit. So now we will have this piece and this piece, and you do need both of them. So put those 2 to the side together, and then we'll do our other one. So our other one, it's going to be the 5 1/4 side is going this way and the 4-inch side is going towards the top. And I am again going to place it hanging off a little bit, but not as much this time. I want my moon quite far down and centered on the cardstock, but just a little bit off. I just think that adds some interest. And just run that through. And so now we have a piece that looks like this and a piece that looks like this. So put those 2 to the side, and then we can put our die cutting machine away. All right, so now I've got 2 pieces of watercolor cardstock that measure 4 by 5 1/4. So for this step, it does need to be watercolor cardstock. And then I've got my masks here. So I've got this one and this one. So we're going to start with this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm placing it on some scratch cardstock, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to line these 2 up because they should be the same size. So line them up. And then I've just got some washi tape here. And I'm just gonna kind of tape it down on the side, but you can also use a Post-it note or whatever you have. And then for this step, I'm gonna use Spice Marmalade Distress Oxide ink and then Fossilized Amber Distress Oxide ink. And I've got my blending tool here. You can use any blending type of tools that you like. I prefer these brush ones. So I'm going to keep this little paper to the side here just to kind of rub off the colors between inks. So I'm going to start with the Spiced Marmalade, and I'm going to go into it and get some ink, and I'm going to go around my moon just like this. So just like the edge of it. And then I'm going to kind of clean my brush and put that to the side. And then I'm going to use the Fossilized Amber. So it's like a yellow color. Of course, you could use any inks that you're comfortable blending with. You don't have to use Distress inks. It's just that I have these and I love them. All right, and then you can go in with more orange. You can make it darker, but I like where it's at right now. So now when we lift it off, you will have our moon there. All right, so now we have that. So simple. I'm going to turn this around. Now I'm going to grab the actual die cut that we cut out, the circle part, and I'm going to place it over top of my moon, just like this. So that masks the moon. And I'm going to put a tiny bit of tape just on the edge here to secure it. And I'm going to put my yellow ink away. And I'm going to grab a different brush. And I'm going to start with the Black Soot Distress ink. And this is not the oxide, it's just the Distress ink. And I like it because it's darker. All right, so I'm going to start with my Black Soot. And I'm going to go around the top of my moon here. And we're doing like a night sky. So you definitely need it to be pretty dark. So I'm going to go about a third of the way down with this. Just like that. And then before we get all the way to the bottom, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to measure up 1.25 inches from the bottom. And you can do this before you start inking. And I'm going to do that on both sides. 1.25 inches. Just like this. All right, now I'm going to take some scrap cardstock and place it right across here so that it masks off the bottom, because that is where we're going to have our sentiment. So again, I'm just going to use a little bit of washi tape and tape it down on this side and on this side. And then we can continue our inking. Just make sure your moon is staying in place where it's supposed to be. All right, so next we are going to go with Seedless Preserves. So this is like a purple, and this is the Distress Oxide color. And I'm just cleaning my brush to the side. And get it good and inky. And I'm going to go in this little corner of where the moon is here. And I'm going to go up here. And you want to get a nice, intense purple there. Just like this. All right, and then clean your brush, or you can switch brushes if you want. I'm just cleaning mine to the side here. All right, then we'll go with Uncharted Mariner, which is like a blue color. I think it's one of the newer ones. And I'm gonna kind of come down from the black into the purple. So just blend it into the purple and into the black, kind of in between. All right, and then I want the black to be a little bit more intense. So with Distress inks, with coloring with them, it's really it's a preference thing of how much you want to put on. All right, but I think that looks good to me now. So I'm gonna take off this mask here and my moon mask. All right, and then we have this super cool look. All right, now I just have a little bit of water off to the side here, and I'm just gonna kind of dip my fingers into it. And I'm gonna flick onto the piece we just did. Just like this, just a couple flicks. Then I've got just some paper towel here, and I'm gonna dab off, but make sure that you go on the other side. Don't dab the yellow into that. Just like this. So just keep kind of switching your just like that. All right, so you've got this really cool looking panel now. So I'm gonna go ahead and make another one just like this one. All right, now let's do our other panel that is running 5 1/4 this way by 4 this way. So I've got my mask here, and we're gonna start with the moon. So I'm gonna grab my Spiced Marmalade ink first, and it's gonna be the same process. For this one, the only difference will be that we are not going to, we're going to ink the whole piece. Because with the other one, we cut off a little bit at the bottom. With this one, we're going to ink the whole piece. All right, so now that panel is created. So you can use any colors you like and just have fun inking. It just makes such a cool effect to do that. All right, so now I've got a smaller brush here, and I'm gonna put the one we just did aside to dry for a second. And I'm gonna bring in these two panels that we did before. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take the seedless preserves and I'm gonna try to make this like a fall moon, if you will. So I'm gonna come in from this side here and I'm gonna blend a little bit of that seedless preserves around it. I just think it gives it some dimension. And I'm not gonna go all the way down the side of the moon. Just about like that. I think it just gives it some nice dimension. So same thing with the other one. And of course, no two are going to be the same, so you don't have to try to make them that way. Just like that. I just think that gives it some cool dimension. All right, so those two look like that. And then we'll do the same thing with this one. But I'm gonna come from the top first. Should probably have something under here. Sometimes I get excited when I'm inking. So with this one, the black is still a little bit wet, so it's coming in, but that's totally fine. That's the fun of inking, is you never know what the inks are gonna do, but it always kind of looks cool. All right, so we're gonna leave that one at that. So we've got all three of our panels created, and I think they look so cool. All right, now we're gonna do some stamping on our panels. So I'm going to use the Trick or Sweets stamp set from Lalaland Crafts, and it has a bunch of really cute little sentiments. It says, if the broom fits, fly it, bewitched by you, have a spooktacular day, trick or sweets, let's brew up some fun, I'm under your spell, witching you a happy Halloween, hey pumpkin. So we're going to use have a spooktacular day, hey pumpkin, and witching you a happy Halloween. So I'm going to start with one of the panels that's like this. And I'm going to use the witching you a happy Halloween. And I'm going to place it right in our white area at the bottom here. And pick it up. And I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink for my stamping. So I usually just take the ink pad to the stamp for this and make sure you get a nice, good coverage. And then bring it right down and give it a good press. So there's our witching you a happy Halloween. All right, we can take that one off of there and clean up any ink that's on there. And then the next one we'll do will be the other panel that's like this. And we're gonna use have a spooktacular day. So I'm gonna let it go up in the moon a little bit, just like this. And pick it up and ink it. Again, make sure you get really nice coverage with your ink. Bring it down and give it a good press. All right, that's that one done. Now we'll do the Hey Pumpkin, and the Hey Pumpkin's gonna be a little bit different because we're gonna stamp it right on the moon up here. So I'm gonna have it kind of come in from the side of the moon there. Pick that one up. And we'll get our ink onto it. Again, make sure you get nice, good coverage. Bring it down. Just like this. All right. Okay, so I decided I don't really like the Hey Pumpkin on the moon. I don't feel like it's bright enough, and plus I don't really like the placement. So I stamped it again on a white strip, and I think I wanted to come in from the edge and then just have like a little banner end here. So I'm going to cut it off about right there and then do a little snip in the middle and then a snip up from both sides like this, and then it can go right there. Yeah, I like that a lot better, but I think it could even be shorter. So just like this, I think that's pretty cute. So I'm just gonna pop it up since we're doing it anyways. Might as well. Just give it a little cute dimension there. So when you're card making, or really any kind of crafting, sometimes the cutest things come out of not necessarily mistakes, but you know, things that you thought you might like and then you ended up not liking it. All right, so that looks really, really cute. Okay, so now what I have here is I have 3 little grass borders. And all 3 of these, well, there's 2 dies. I've cut this one twice and this one once. So these 2 are from La La Land Crafts, and I'll link them below. So for this one, they're this style. I'm going to put them on these cards here, our up and down cards, just like this. And then this little one with the cute little mushrooms is going to go on this one. So let's just go ahead and glue those all on. I have to unclog my glue bottle really quick. So we'll start with this little one here and get our glue on there. I'm not putting glue at the very top because I might tuck my little girl behind the glue. So I'm not putting it all the way to the bottom. I'm kind of letting it have a little bit of room there. So just like this. And then these ones, again, I'm just kind of putting the glue at the bottom, and you don't have to go all the way to both sides because we are going to have to cut it off a little bit. And then we'll do the other one the same way. Oops, got flying grass. And you could cut the grass in green, but I think it looks better in the black. It's kind of spooky for Halloween. All right, so now we can cut these off just like that. So I think this looks so cute. Oops. All right, so that is our 3 little card panels. Now we're going to All right, now I've gone ahead and attached some foam tape to the back of all of my little images that we colored. So the little witch is going to go on here, the flying witch. So go ahead and remove the backings of your tapes. So she's going to go like right there across the moon. And then I'm going to And then the little pumpkin girl, she's gonna go right here on this one. Just like this. So stinking cute. And then she's just gonna go kind of right above the sentiment right here. All right, now I've got 3 card bases. And the card bases, one of them measures 5.5 by 8.5, and we're just gonna fold it in half. These are A2 card bases. And then I have 2 that are 4.25 by 11. And we're just gonna fold them in half as well for both of them. Just like this. So that's our 3 card bases. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some foam tape on the back of these. All right, so I've attached all of my foam tape, and I'm gonna put my little images or my panels on the card bases. So make sure your opening is at the bottom so you don't put them on upside down. Just like this, and then this one will go this way. All right, and there is our 3 adorable little cards. I absolutely love these. I think we learned a lot today. We learned some Copic coloring, we learned some inking, some other techniques. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And remember to, if you make the cards or even anything similar, remember to post them in the Create with Martha Jane Facebook group, and that'll be linked below. And remember our giveaway for the Fall Halloween series. So if you comment down below, you will be entered to win the cutting guides for all the videos in the Fall Halloween series. I hope you guys enjoyed the first card video. I'm very excited to bring this to you guys, and I hope we can learn a lot making cards. All right, guys, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.